Hey guys, I'm Coach Rebecca, and I want to take a quick second to encourage you to start thinking about your stinking thinking. And today I'm going to talk about how to identify it. We're just going to go over kind of the surface level. There's definitely a definitive way and many tactics to use in one, identifying stinking thinking and replacing it with thoughts that empower and encourage you to live your best life and become the next best version of yourself. Today we'll go through just some basic concepts of what it is to identify and why it's so important, because reality is that our thoughts, the reason it is so important is that our thoughts that we focus on over time create our belief systems, and it's actually our belief systems that drive our actions and our choices, our quality of life, our perceptions, our stress levels, all the things. So truly understanding this is the foundation, one of the founding principles of becoming the next best version of yourself and enjoying every moment in the process. So when it comes to stinkin' thinking, or when it comes to our thoughts, I talk a lot about stinkin' thinking from the standpoint of the thoughts that we tell ourselves, right? When you think about the way we talk to ourselves, the first point is to catch that and think about that and realize what you're saying to yourself, and ask yourself, would you say those types of things to, if you have kids, would you say that to your daughter? Or would you say it to your son? Would you want them saying it to themselves? Or anyone that you truly care about, would you say that to them? The things that we say to ourselves are often so harsh and so disempowering that we would never in a million years want those said about someone that we love and care about. So why do we say them to ourselves? A lot of times it's not even intentional. And that's part of the challenge, is that it has become a habit and a pattern that we are so grooved into, that we've created over time, that we don't fully recognize what we're saying to ourselves and or to the extent of it. So the first step is to be mindful. Take a 24-hour period of time or a 48-hour period of time and just really focus on thinking about what you're thinking about and keeping a notepad of all the things you say to yourself over the course of a 24-hour day. Then go back and look at it and give yourself that gut check. Is that something that I would want to be spoken over my children or my best friend or my sister? Whatever the case may be, whoever it is that you care about most, would you want the things that you say to yourself be said over them? Now, there's a couple of kind of perspectives or angles, I'll say, that show up in stinkin' thinking. So the first is that idea that it's just stinkin' thinking. It's something that we have, the way we talk to ourselves because of either the way we've responded to events in our lives, or maybe it's been spoken to us at some point in time and we held them as truths and therefore we carried them forward in our own minds. But a couple of other perspectives to look at is sometimes we consider things as all black and white. Everything is either like it's one extreme or the other. It's either all good or all black. And we don't give ourselves all good or all bad, right? We don't give ourselves the opportunity to find middle ground, to come from a neutral position. And that's another video, another content lesson. But one of the concepts of being able to retrain our thoughts is if that positive thought, if the yes, it's good is too far out of reach, just bring it into neutral and just become an observer, right? For example, a lot of times what I'll hear in people, women especially, trying to get healthy and fit in mind and body, and they're maybe changing up some food choices, they consider foods either good or bad. And sometimes take it even a step further and reflect on themselves as either good or bad based on the foods that they choose. Reality is food is just food. There's massive differences in how they impact your body and whether or not particular food aligns with your ideal health and long-term well-being and any physical goals you have. But it in and of itself isn't totally good or totally bad. It just is. And we get to decide whether or not it's something that aligns with our goals. Same thing. You aren't a bad person because of a choice you made. Maybe it was a not great choice. Maybe it didn't line up with the ultimate goal. Maybe it was a good lesson. Maybe there was a good experience or good something to take away from it. But you as a person aren't innately good or bad based on some mistake, right? So understanding that that is one of the lenses that sometimes women especially put on things, is having that challenge with everything is either totally good or totally bad, and they reflect that of themselves as well. The second thing is personalizing everything. So when women get in the headspace of taking everything personally and kind of taking it on as their own, right? I do believe in 100% responsibility for things that are within our control. And there is a lot of things that are in our control that people tend to make excuses for, and this, that, and the other. There is a difference between taking 100% ownership of yourself, your situation, your circumstances, your next choice, and taking things personally. For example, a friend group, decides to go into a restaurant that you don't go to, and for some reason you perceive it as, well, they must not want me to go because they must know that I don't go to that restaurant, or whatever the case may be. That's kind of a lame example. Someone within your home is, even personalities. Sometimes we take somebody else's personality and their attitudes and behavior towards us as personally, like as it's a reflection of our worth and our value. It actually has nothing to do with us. It's a reflection of them and their value, or not their value as a person, but how they see themselves and all kinds of things. Again, that's whole nother video. But understanding that when there's a difference between 100% ownership and personalizing and condemning ourselves for life circumstances, situations, other people's events, attitudes, whatever the case may be. And the reason this is all going to tie up to body confidence is because all of this heaviness and this negativity elevates our stress levels. Cortisol tells our body to hold on to stored fat, and it just diminishes our quality of life when we carry these kinds of perceptions. So being aware of them, it's important to be aware and then be able to shift them. So first was the black and white thinking. Well, actually first is the idea of just stinking thinking in general. And then it is the kind of overview or the lens of having a black and white kind of thought process that you put into everything. Personalizing things around you that you put into things was the second. The third is only focusing on the negative, right? We've all either been there at a season in our life or had a friend that was in a season of their life where everything, like the sky is falling, there's nothing good could come out of this type thing. And that, actually two different things. So like nothing good could come out of this type thing. There's always something good when you choose to look for it. There's always a positive that you can take from it. Maybe not in the moment, in the exact moment, depending on what it is, but looking for, being aware of, getting intentional about looking for the positive. The fourth thing is this, like everything is a catastrophe type mindset. The sky is falling, the world is ending because of X, Y, and Z. I didn't get what I wanted from the grocery store, or the waitress was too late, or whatever. There's some major life issues, obviously, that are gonna come up and feel really strong and overwhelming. But even then, it really is a moment in time. That was one of the greatest life lessons that I got to learn when I've gone through a couple incredibly challenging times. One in particular, where I literally felt like I can't do this. I can't. It was actually, there's been a couple times, but the one that was just maybe 8 years ago or 7 years ago or what have you, I remember telling a girlfriend, like, I just can't, I don't think I can do this. Like there was personal issue going on that just felt so like gut wrenching to me. And she said, you can, 5 minutes at a time. And that was the best piece of advice I think I have ever gotten, and I've used it multiple times since then. And then as you go through those things, I want to encourage you that when you do go through challenging things and you realize your world didn't end and you were strong enough and you did get through it, it builds your level of strength, resistance, and what was so overwhelming. That was a very significant event, but I've been through some significant things since, and you just get more grit, you just get tougher, right? But part of that is becoming a student of your own mind, your body, your energies, how you react to things. And so that's where we want to go into what to do about it. It really comes down to really two things: being mindful and being that student that's always asking, what can I learn from this? How can I improve without condemning yourself? Ladies, that is the most important thing, is finding that balance of being able to take back feedback now from yourself and being awareness, being an observer, getting real with yourself, having hard conversations with yourself without victimizing yourself, without condemning yourself for a choice, without feeling, but just becoming an objective observer so that you can truly make some change. And then again, another video for another topic for another video at some point, but I'll briefly touch on the fact that you definitely need to be getting feedback from those that are closest to you, that are in the arena with you. And the arena references a Theodore Roosevelt reference that talks about the arena, the people that have a voice in your life are those that love you, respect you, treat you well, honor you, and different people for different aspects of life, quite possibly, because they also need to be in the arena with you. And what that means is, like, they need to, if it's business related, for example, the people that get to have a voice are the people that love, honor you, respect you, will tell you the truth, not what you want to hear, right? But will be honest with you, be real with you, but they're also in the fight. They're taking the same level of risk. They're taking the same level of, kind of getting beat up, or, whatever the case may be, because they are fighting, right? The people in the peanut gallery that want to have an opinion, they can have their opinion all day long, but their opinion it doesn't matter, right? Peanut gallery is irrelevant. People that are in the arena, they get to give you that direct feedback. The rest of them, just ignore and delete as much as possible. So getting back on track with what to do when it comes to the stinking thinking and how to retrain it. Is, the Stinkin Thinkin, that's a whole module and a series as well, in terms of how to catch the stinking thinking and rebuild it. But I want to give you some basics right now, and I'm going to make sure I don't miss anything. One is, outside of, the whole program for retraining the stinking thinking or catching it and replacing it, that in of itself is a whole series. But being able to watch for triggers, again, going back to like these core kind of perspectives and lenses, being able to watch for triggers, becoming a student of yourself so that you can look and understand and be aware of, do you get a sense of anxiousness when a certain person is around? Do you get a sense of, like, do you feel angry when it could be something like you didn't get enough sleep the night before and you wake up and you're not quite sure what's wrong. You just feel on edge and you're snapping, or whatever the case may be. What are those triggers, right? It could be foods. It's a super important thing to pay attention to how your body is responding to foods. The more, it might sound a little woohoo to you now if you've never tried to like really step into what is going on, but I promise you, the more you just start, it doesn't, like, you are your own best doctor from a standpoint of when you need to get to real medical help, get real medical help. But I mean, from the standpoint of our gut intuitively knows, we just need to get better at listening, right? So understanding what your triggers might be that set off that negative emotion, negative need. It could be lack of something. It could be a trigger because you've, especially taping of this video, we're in lockdown. Maybe you haven't taken yourself outside of the house. And so the trigger is the fact that you've been in the house without movement, without activity, without socialization for the last 3 days or 4 days or 5 days, whatever the case may be. That might be a trigger. Makes sense? The second is, like I was saying before, ask better questions. But the question I want to give you is that when emotions start to rise up and we start to go, let's say, like, the sky is falling, this is horrible, this is never going to work out, blah, blah. Is that true, right? When it comes to the kind of catastrophe, making everything bigger than what it really is, catch yourself with words like everything, always, no one, everyone, right? Everyone hates me. Everyone's talking about me. Is it really everyone, or is it the two nasty people, right? Like, really be mindful of the words that you use, because the words have the power of the tongue, has the ability to heal or cut, right? Give life or give death. Excuse me, I forget what the verse is, but power of the tongue has the ability to give life or death, right? So choose your words wisely. The words you say to yourself are so critical. How do people around you just speak? That's another thing to be considerate of, or start being mindful of. Who you surround yourself with is super important for each aspect of life. You can't expect one person to be everything to you. However, when it comes to unhealthy behaviors, unhealthy speech, unhealthy interactions, those are the people that you really need to consider setting healthy boundaries around, at the very least, if it's a family member. And in some instances, you just have to cut. Again, that's another whole video series, but you have one life to live. And if you've got toxic people in your life, it doesn't matter whether or not you've known them forever or it's a family member. Again, either boundaries or you cut out, right? Doesn't need to be a big old conversation. It doesn't need to be something that you get confrontational over, unless it's something that you feel like can be healed, or just like, hey, when you say this, it really hurts my feelings type thing. But I think we know the difference intuitively when someone is really just not healthy, especially as you start to get healthier in mind, in emotion and emotional mastery. You'll start to recognize the people around you that aren't. I don't recommend that you go tell them that they're not, but just you do you keep doing better, and then you continue to make changes. And I will tell you, like I've said in other videos, when you go through this process, not everyone gets to come with you. Not everyone is meant to come with you. And that's okay, because you have one life. You're created on purpose with a greater purpose. It is your duty to make sure that you give those gifts to those that are meant to receive them. Yourself first, because taking care of yourself is the best gift you can give anybody else, right? We cannot give our best to others if we aren't at our best. Mamas, or high achievers, right? Whether it be a mama at home that just gives everything to everybody else, or the high achiever woman in the workplace that is just giving out, burning the candle at both ends. Either scenario, you cannot give the best. If you are doing really, really well where you're at, and you're feeling like that, and you don't make time for yourself, and you're not caring for yourself as an individual, that means that you've got more in you. You've got an even higher level of giving, achievement, service, whatever the case may be, because it has to come, or when it comes from a foundation of health and fitness, you taking care of you first, you are in a powerful position to give so much more, or create, or receive, or conquer, whatever words you want to use. You're in a position to do so much more of it when you have a strong foundation. The last couple things I want to leave you with is look for humor. Get intentional about having fun and enjoying the day. My son and I, for a season when he was in high school, we'd wake up in the morning and watch YouTube videos like America's Funniest Videos or whatever before we go. Like, start the day with fun and laughter or humor, or take a break midday if you need it. Make it happen then. Choose the positive people in your life. Get intentional, right? It's not always about what you take away. It's also about getting super intentional. And that can be done with, again, connecting with the right community of people in each aspect of his life, right? Your individual growth as a woman, as well as, your personal connections, right? Your faith-based connections, business connections, whatever the case may be. Get connected with people that are going to support and foster your growth, and be your truth teller and your cheerleader, right? Your truth teller, not always going to tell you what you want to hear, but tell you what you need to hear, and your cheerleader, right? Someone that's got your back. The last thing I want to leave you with is this. When it comes to body confidence and body image, we spend way too much time talking about and thinking about and picking on what we don't like about our body. So I want to encourage you to take some time to get intentional about thinking what you do love about your body. And if you aren't yet, if your confidence is so kind of buried down, I get it, I've been there too. And you're like, Rebecca, I got a million things I want to change about my body. There is nothing that I love about it, right? You're up, you're moving, you can see and hear this video, right? There are things to be grateful on. So focus on what you may consider to be the small things in this moment. But when you focus a heart of gratitude, love, and appreciation for the small things, that builds momentum and it builds confidence. So start with that, all right? I hope that was helpful. If it was, shoot me a message, let me know, and I will talk to you soon. Bye.